In the heart of a land shrouded in eternal twilight, the Coven of Shadows guards secrets older than time itself. But when whispers of a forbidden spell resurface, one capable of unraveling reality, power, betrayal, and dark magic collide. Tonight, we journey into a world where loyalty is tested, trust is a weapon, and every shadow hides a curse. Will the spell bring salvation or eternal damnation? Prepare for a tale of witches, ancient pacts, and the price of forbidden power. This is Coven of Shadows, the forbidden spell. The darkness is calling. Will you dare to answer? Coven of Shadows, the forbidden spell. Part 1, the story. The rain fell like whispers against the old slate roofs of Hollowmere, a village steeped in superstition and shadow. The cobblestone streets glistened under the pale light of a crescent moon, and the air carried the scent of wet earth and burning cedar. Most of the townsfolk were already locked away behind shuttered windows, murmuring prayers to keep the night's terrors at bay. But one figure moved through the streets, cloaked in black, her face hidden beneath a deep hood. Her name was Alara Vey, and the rumors about her were as dark as the night itself. Some said she could speak to spirits. Others whispered that her bloodline traced back to the first witches of Hollowmere, those who had struck pacts with things that should never have been named. Alara's destination was the Blackthorn Chapel, long abandoned, its stained glass windows shattered, its altar crumbling under decades of rot. The place was a relic of a time when the church had tried, and failed, to burn out the witching covens that thrived in Hollowmere's forests. Inside, the air was heavy, as though the building itself breathed in slow, labored gasps. The moonlight slanted through the broken glass, illuminating the dust dancing in the air like 1,000 restless spirits. They were already there. 5 women in dark robes, their faces half hidden by masks of bone and crow feathers. The Coven of Shadows. They stood in a half-circle around an ancient stone table carved with runes that writhed and shimmered like they were alive. "You're late," one of them hissed, her voice rasping like dry leaves. "I came as quickly as I could," Alara replied, lowering her hood. Her hair, black as ink, clung to her pale cheeks. "Do you have it?" A nod. One of the witches stepped forward, producing a bundle wrapped in crimson cloth. When she set it upon the stone, the room seemed to grow colder. Alara pulled the cloth away, revealing a grimoire bound in cracked leather. The cover was etched with symbols that seemed to pulse faintly, as though they hungered for attention. "The Black Verse," another witch said, almost reverently, "sealed for centuries by the Pact of the Three Moons. Only now has the seal weakened enough for us to—" "Don't say it," Alara cut in sharply. "You know the cost of speaking its name aloud." Silence settled among them like ash. The forbidden spell was no ordinary incantation. It was the Vel Sereth, a work of magic older than Hollowmere itself. According to legend, it could unravel the boundary between the living and the dead. But its price was the soul of the one who dared cast it. Alara had not come to take the spell for herself. At least that's what she told herself. She had come because the village was dying, not from plague or famine, but from something far worse. The shadows that had always lingered at the edge of the forest were moving closer each night. People vanished, taken without sound or struggle, their homes left undisturbed, their doors still locked from the inside. She suspected, no, she knew, that the veil was thinning, that the dead were no longer content to rest. "We should not do this," one of the younger witches said, her voice trembling. "The Vel Sereth cannot be controlled. It will save us," Alara interrupted, her tone cold. "Or it will end us. Either way, this cannot continue." The eldest of the coven, a woman called Morwan, stepped forward. Her face was a map of wrinkles, her eyes bright as coals. "If we cast this spell, there is no undoing it. The gates will open wide. And what comes through?" She trailed off, shaking her head. "It may not leave." Alara met her gaze. "Then I will be the one to bear the cost." A murmur ran through the coven, but no one moved to stop her. They began the ritual. Black candles were lit, their flames flickering blue as the air thickened with the scent of iron and rot. The grimoire lay open, its pages covered in writing that shifted and bled like ink spilled into water. Alara spoke the words. At first, they came haltingly, the syllables heavy and sharp on her tongue. Then the power began to surge, and the chapel groaned as though the stones themselves were straining against some invisible force. The shadows along the walls lengthened, deepening into shapes with too many limbs and eyes like cold fire. The air vibrated, and a sound rose, low at first, then swelling into something that was not quite a scream and not quite a song. A rift tore open above the altar, spilling black light into the world. Through it, she saw the other side. The endless gray plains where the dead wandered, their faces pale and blank, their eyes empty. But something else was there too, something that had been waiting. It stepped forward, a tall figure draped in tattered robes, its face hidden behind a mask of bone carved into a permanent grin. Its voice was 1,000 whispers at once. Which, it said, you call to me with stolen words. Do you know my name? Alara's heart pounded, but she did not look away. You are the keeper of the veil. The thing tilted its head. And you would have me tear it open? Yes, she said. The dead already seep into our world. If the barrier must fall, then let it fall fully, so I may bargain with them instead of watching them take us one by one. The mask's grin seemed to widen. A bold gambit. The price is as the book promised. Your soul, bound to the rift for all eternity. Alara hesitated only a heartbeat. I accept. The keeper reached out with a hand like polished bone, touching her forehead. Pain like molten iron seared through her skull, but she did not scream. The rift yawned wider, and the dead began to pour through, not in chaos, but in eerie, silent procession. They bowed to the keeper, their movements smooth and dreamlike. Then the light vanished. When Alara opened her eyes, the chapel was empty. The coven was gone. Outside, Hollowmere lay silent, but the suffocating dread that had haunted it was gone. The veil had fallen, and yet, the dead walked among the living without violence. Part 2. Explanation. 1. Setting and atmosphere. The story is set in Hollowmere, a fictional village drenched in gothic, supernatural elements. The location is designed to evoke a sense of history, decay, and quiet menace, where superstition and reality blur. The Blackthorn Chapel serves as a symbolic meeting point between the sacred and the profane, a fallen holy site now used for witchcraft. 2. Main characters. Alara Vey, protagonist. A witch from a powerful bloodline, caught between her coven's caution and her village's desperation. She's decisive, pragmatic, and willing to risk herself for a greater good, even if her motives are not entirely pure. Morwen, the elder witch, representing tradition and caution. She embodies the voice of reason, warning against tampering with forces beyond control. The Coven of Shadows, a collective of witches who serve as both Alara's allies and moral counterbalance. They are skilled in magic but wary of the forbidden spell. The Keeper of the Veil, the primary supernatural entity, guardian of the barrier between life and death. It is both dangerous and lawful in its own otherworldly way, demanding payment for its power. 3. The forbidden spell, Vel Sereth. The Vel Sereth is a ritual older than Hollowmere itself, with the power to completely dissolve the boundary between the realms of the living and the dead. In the story, the veil is already weakening naturally, allowing restless spirits to cause disappearances. Alara's choice is to rip it open fully so she can confront the force directly and negotiate, rather than allowing it to erode unchecked. 4. Themes and motifs. The price of power, the spell demands a soul, underscoring the idea that true power always comes at a cost. Alara accepts this willingly, knowing she may never escape her fate. Balance between worlds, the Keeper of the Veil isn't portrayed as inherently evil. It simply enforces the rules between realms. By bargaining, Alara shifts the relationship between Hollowmere and the dead from predatory to transactional. Fear versus action. The Coven embodies fear of the unknown, while Alara embodies the willingness to face it head-on. The story questions whether action born of desperation is bravery or recklessness. Shadows as characters. The shadows in the story are not just visual imagery. They represent the unseen, the lurking danger, and the ever-present past of Hollowmere. 5. Ending interpretation. The conclusion is intentionally ambiguous. Hollowmere appears safe, but the dead are now physically present among the living, bound by an unknown agreement with Alara. This creates lingering tension. Peace may not last, and the cost of keeping it may yet grow. 6. Symbolism. The runes represent ancient knowledge that resists comprehension. Their movement and shifting ink reflect the instability of forbidden magic. The Keeper's Mask. The bone grin symbolizes inevitability and the impartial nature of death. It smiles for all. Rain and moonlight. The rain serves as a cleansing motif, while moonlight represents revelation of hidden truths. 7. Why this works as a Gothic tale. The story combines supernatural dread, moral ambiguity, and rich, sensory detail, hallmarks of Gothic fantasy. The decayed chapel, the silent dead, and the ritual all create an atmosphere where every choice feels irreversible. The shadows have whispered their secrets, and the truth of the forbidden spell has been unveiled. But at what cost? In a world where every choice leaves a scar, the Coven's fate now hangs by a single thread. If this tale has drawn you into its dark embrace, remember to like, share, and subscribe for more journeys into the unknown. Your voice keeps the magic alive and the shadows speaking. Until our paths cross again in the realm of mystery and moonlight, beware the spell that should never be spoken. This is Coven of Shadows, where darkness always finds a way.